In five, four, three, two, one. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of the Coffee and Tea Podcast. And today, we don't have a guest. Today, it's just me and my camera and a cup of coffee that I have right next to me. Give me a sec. It is currently Saturday, 30th of May, 2020. I am sitting in my bedroom, and right now it's about um, 10:40, almost 11 o'clock at night. I am sitting here and thinking, you know, what I should be doing. Should I go to bed? What should I do? And then I decided, actually, let me record an episode of this podcast and just share some of my thoughts that I've been having and sort of introduce myself to the people who don't know me on a personal level. My name's Daniel. I am from Taiwan. I was born in Taiwan. I grew up in Taiwan, but around the age of uh 10 years old, I moved to Australia, and then ever since then, Australia has been my second home. And I'm currently, um, yeah, currently living in Australia and doing what I can to pursue this idea. I don't know, pursue something, you know. Essentially, I wanted to use this opportunity to sort of just talk about how, um, all this crazy thing that's been happening in the year of 2020, especially, where we have the coronavirus and what's been happening in my life. I don't know where to start, so I'm just gonna sort of start from 2020. Um, I came back from my um, overseas work a couple months ago. Came back around April. I went over to London, United Kingdom, to uh, for 2 years. Worked there as a teacher. Went to three different schools, and in that learned many things. Learned things about how to be a better teacher. Um, I learned so much about what I want out of life. I learned so much about myself. Sounds cheesy, but it was quite what's the word? Quite uh it quite a experience. In that 2 years time, I learned I was a very different person. Um, Coming back, I was no longer this person who, um, I mean, when I was younger and before I went over to UK, I was sort of um, trapped in the city that I grew up in Australia. Felt that there must be more to life than just being in this city, and you know an opportunity occurred for me to work overseas, and I took it straight away. I packed up my stuff with the help of my family, bought a ticket to UK within 3 weeks, got my visa and everything sorted. Yeah, within 3 weeks, I was there, and then bam, and then I started working over there. My life over there was very, very. I had a lot of freedom over there. Growing up as an Asian kid, there wasn't much. There was a lot of restrictions to the way I was growing up, financially, socially. There was a lot of you I must always do things for the better of the family. There wasn't much, um, you know, I couldn't just do whatever I want. A lot of my friends who um see me as this guy who is, carefree and, always joking around, sometimes even a little bit too vulgar for their liking. Um, it's sort of the person I've always wanted to be, this free and carefree person that can just do whatever he wants. But in reality, what I grew up with and what was um, passed down to me was that you always have to do everything for the sake of the family, and you know that was good and also bad at the same time. It was basically a double-edged sword. I think a lot of times I was sort of fighting with this um, uh, Asian culture that I had, and nowadays I try and embrace it a little bit more. What I struggled the most was the fact that um, I didn't have a lot of choice. I didn't have a lot of say in what I want to do. Say if I, I'm working now. I'm not a university student anymore. I'm not a high school kid anymore. But I think growing up in sort of the culture, it's I would never be able to do things the way I want. I would never be able to just you know move out of the house just because I want to. I will never be able to just date someone because I like them. There will always be this: is it actually good for the family? Like, is this action you're doing going to benefit the family? Some people might disagree with me, but it's just how I see it. It's how I see how my family works, at least. And it was something that it I'm still struggling with. I am um, very grateful for my family, 100%. But they, it's hard to put into words. But I love my family, but at the same time, I need to get away from them from time to time. And moving over to UK was the best decision that I think I've ever given myself um, in my 20, almost 30 years of living on this planet. When I got there, I did not feel scared at all. I felt so calm and so peaceful because why? Because I could just do whatever the fuck I want. I think that's it. I can just do whatever the fuck I want whenever I want. Obviously I had responsibility to my work, so I was a teacher, so of course I would do the teacher things. Teach, go to work, go to school every day, and do my bit as a teacher. And then during the weekend, during the holidays, it was just so good. I was so happy. Um, I could, if I wanted to buy a new couch, I can buy a new couch. If I wanted to sleep all day, I can sleep all day. If I want to go to the gym for, 6 hours, I could. If I wanted to hang out with my friends, I could. If I wanted to read a book for the entire day without being disrupted, I could. If I feel like I needed to be working for if I wanted to do some extra work during the weekend, I can do that. No one would stop me. I can, there's just so much freedom that I've never experienced. And now that I'm back living with my family, it's a It's definitely something that I need to adjust to because I think for the sake of my sanity, I need to make sure that I'm not back to just this person that I used to be, where I would listen and do exactly what my family wants me to do. I but I would compromise, like, or they need to compromise with me, or we need to meet somewhere in the middle. Like, you know, at the moment, the biggest thing I need to do is I need to decide what I need to do with my life, or I need to find a direction. I have found a direction, but it's a big general direction, and I think I still need to break it down, or I need to not break it down, but narrow it down to you know, the small fine details. And I think it'll take some time, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Um, Let me just give me a sec. So yeah, so living in Australia, it's I love it. Australia is, I think, living being having having the opportunity to live in Taiwan, Australia, and London. I think definitely Australia tops both countries, Taiwan and UK, in regards to living standard. We have so much space here. It's ridiculous compared to London. Um, the weather's great, though I am a winter person, so I think when Australia summer hits, I'm going to be complaining a lot. Um, all my all my friends are here. All of my friends here. No, I mean, I've made good friends over in London, but I think it was hard. I think it will be hard for me to keep contact with those friends in London because A, the time zone, and B, I think a lot of people in London are used to the concept of having a friend, but there's a time to it. You know, a lot of times people, London isn't a place for people to stay long. London's a place where people would go there, work really hard for 5, 6, maybe even 10 years, but there's a end, there's a deadline, and after that time, they either move into the suburbs or they move back to their country, and that's what I did. I did it for 2 years. I made some money, came back, and and then my friends still the people who I made friends with, I think maybe they're just used to it, and then it's not that we had a bad fallout, but it's just there's an ending, there's a season to it. It's sad, but it's sort of that's just life, you know. You know, I remember someone I remember someone told me once, making friends or being in a relationship, it's like being on a train. You're on a train going to your own destination. Other people might join you on that train, but we all have different stops. And sometimes some people will going are going to the same stop as you. Sometimes their stop is a bit earlier, sometimes their stop is further back. And you just have to, make the most out of it. And then once they're getting off or you're getting off, you just give them a hug and say, I love you. Thank you for your time. And yeah, and I hope one day we can meet again. But yeah, it was great the time we had, And it took me a while to sort of accept that, especially in my relationships. I mean, I have never been in any serious relationship. I think one of the biggest thing for me personally was that I was I had such a low self esteem. I was so used to being the clown. I was so used to being the person that people made fun of, or I wasn't confident with my body, you know. Oh, it's so cheesy me saying this out loud, but I think it was definitely a thing. I'm still to this day not very confident with my body, but I'm now more like I don't care anymore. You know, if I think I look great, yeah, that's it. You know, and then if I don't, I'll just try and go to the gym, or I'll go on a diet, or eat healthy and do all that stuff. But I think I'm getting better with that. But um, a lot of times when I was younger, I think I lost a lot of opportunities because I just had such a low self esteem, and I would always cling on to um, certain people who gave me the smallest amount of attention and think that that was what relationship was like, or that's what love was like. And looking back, I was so pathetic. Looking back, I'm thinking, oh my god, you're so fucking dumb. But I guess that is life. Something that I had to go through to realize that and to learn from that mistake. And now, hopefully, that I will never make the same mistake again. But we'll see. Um, yeah, I have a lot of things in life I would love to do. You know, one thing is doing this podcast, actually, sitting here talking to another person, talking about their life, talking about their jobs, talking about their experience, talking about their belief, talking about whatever it is. I became a big fan of podcasts after listening to, um, of course, the top dog, the Joe Rogan podcast. That was great. From that, I realized how entertaining and how educational, surprisingly, it was to just hear Joe Rogan talking to a scientist or a doctor or a researcher or a politician or even celebrities. Or martial artists, whatever. It was surprisingly educational. I was able to take a lot of the things that they talked about into my own life, especially the way I look, my perspective on life. You know. So I thought, it would be wonderful for me to just get better at talking, because one thing I'm not very good at is talking. I realize I have a lot of bad habits in my day to day talking. Number one is I say the word like a lot, and I fucking hate it. I fucking hate it. I say so often that I remember listening back to the first episode of this podcast. I wanted to shoot myself or shoot the person in that first episode. I was saying like this, like that, and he was like, and she was like, and I like. Oh my god, you know, poor, poor girl, my friend who was being interviewed by me in that first episode had to listen to me just constantly say that word, and I just, you know, and I thought this is also another reason why I want to do this, not just because I want to um talk to people, but also I want to um, through talking to people, through the discussions, through the not debates, discussions and chat and conversation, that I want to formulate my own opinions about certain topics. I want to formulate my opinions about certain religions, certain beliefs, certain technique, certain music, certain whatever it is. I want to form my own opinion after, thorough discussion with another person. It might take more than one person to convince me or to help me shape my own opinion and ideas. And of course, these ideas will be evolving all the time because because I will be evolving, I would hope that I will be better than today, tomorrow. Obviously, I hope the 2021 Daniel will be better than 2020 Daniel. At least more knowledge, or at least more ideas, or whatever it is. I wish I can be. I want to be better. That's what I'm trying to say. And I hope that this podcast, where I talk to people around my community, people around my friend group, my circle of friends, or people who I've never met but just admire their jobs or are interested in their jobs. I wish that I will learn something from them and I will take something away from that. Um, and yeah, and form my own opinions, and maybe make a friend here or there, you know, in these discussions. I don't do this. I'm not doing this for fame or money. Um, if that ever comes by, excuse me, if that comes by, it's great, you know. But it's for me, at least for now. I want to do this because I like doing it. I enjoy doing it. I feel calm and I feel happy after I've done an episode with someone, and I hope this feeling will stay until the end of my life, because I really think this is a good way. I finally found a way for me to express myself, or a way to at least word vomit, if you call it that. So yeah, I think so far I've posted four four episodes of the podcast. There's a lot of things I need to learn. I hope that maybe down the road I can put this podcast on the Apple podcast app. I hope that I can put it on Spotify. I hope that I have a better profile picture on my YouTube channel. I hope that, you know, I will learn new ways of editing videos and things like that, because at the moment I'm just using iMovie and doing the bare minimum, you know. And of course, after the lockdown, it would be great to actually like sit next to. Oh, damn! I just realized I said the word like. Anyway, I hope that after the lockdown, I will be able to go to someone's house, or ask someone to come over to my place, or meet somewhere where I can sit in the same room with them and finally make them cup of coffee or cup of tea and talk about, whatever the conversation is. Because I think when I talk to someone one on one, there's so much more stimulus in that. When I'm talking to someone over Zoom, over Skype, or whatever it is, it's not very engaging, because our conversation might get affected by the lag. Our conversation might get affected by just us not being in the same room together. There's various reasons for the conversation to not flow as well, comparing to sitting in the same room. I'm sure a lot of people will agree. Um, what else can I talk about myself? I am a music teacher. I know I said I was a teacher, but I don't think I said what kind of teacher I was. I'm a music teacher. Um, it's something that I thought I would enjoy, but the more I do it, the more I realize this isn't something that I want to do for the rest of my life, then I need to find a way to shift that because I don't want to waste any more time. I want to get on with it, find a career or find an industry that I enjoy and stick with it and become a professional in it, become a master in it, and become someone who is so informed about that industry. And music education just isn't something that I want to be um, a master of, I think, especially in the classroom, like a normal school classroom situation. I think a lot of times my subject in school gets looked down quite often, but when school needs my department to do something, suddenly it becomes the most important thing. But that important thing only you know it will go away because you know it's only for a short period of time, which it's quite frustrating. And it's quite frustrating when you have school who are being run like a business or too much of it like a business. Because I understand, you know, everything is somewhat a business, but I think that it shouldn't be overly business nice. That's not a word, but it shouldn't it shouldn't be too business like. And what I mean by that is I think teachers in any department shouldn't feel the pressure of not getting the funding they need. I feel like teachers shouldn't feel the pressure of having to prove that their department is worth the time. And I think a lot of times, music, art, even physical education, um, design, technology, these things, the arts, or some people might call it the I don't know, not the non-core academic subjects. A lot of times they want to see instant results. They want to see instant satisfaction, and I think that's just the biggest piece of crap you could ever do to our subjects because our subjects takes time. Our subject takes time for the student to learn how to do it. It takes time for the student to actually practice and practice and practice and practice and practice and practice. They need to do that. It's just like, you know, any kid playing a sport. They need to do the drills, they need to do the drills, practice, practice, practice. If someone wants to become a great artist or at least a great painter or great sketcher, they need to practice, practice, practice. If someone wants to be the best piano player or wants to be the best drummer or the best guitarist, they need to practice, practice, practice. And these are the efforts that schools will never ever see, nor do they care. They don't give a shit if little Jimmy practiced 1,000 hours. They just want to know if little Jimmy can perform perfectly on the night of the performance. And I think that's such a horrible way of looking at music education because we shouldn't applaud, we should applaud kids for their efforts, but we shouldn't discourage how do I phrase this? I personally think we should praise students for practicing more over practicing or performing well on the night, because sometimes we all know, and I'm sure if you're listening and you've ever done any public performance, you will know that sometimes the performance just isn't didn't just didn't go well, and there's no it could be various reasons why you didn't think it went well. It could be because you felt a little bit sick that day. It could be that suddenly something affected you mentally, emotionally, and you were not focused. It could be something as simple as the spotlight. You never practiced with the spotlight hitting your face. And these are the things that no one, that the public or people, the audience will never realize. And so I think, you know, if a kid is practicing 1,000 hours, we should praise that more than praising the kid performing well on that day of the performance. I don't know if this makes sense to a lot of people, but I hope I can I can phrase this a little bit better in the future. But this is just sort of what I think right now. I'm basically word vomiting to the microphone right now. And we're currently in the midst of lockdown, though it is opening up, and then we are slowly going back to normal. It is interesting to see how it's astonishing to see that because of the coronavirus, because of COVID-19, that the entire world, everywhere, shuts down. It's something that I don't think has ever been done before, but it's such a strange um, feeling knowing that the entire the entire world shut down, and how much that has impacted the human the human mind, how it has affected the the environment, the earth itself. I think I hope after the lockdown, after everything goes back to normal, I hope some people have the option of working at home. I hope some people after this lockdown will quit their 9 to 5 and pursue whatever it is they love or whatever it is they're passionate about. Because I am an advocate of of people doing what they love or what they are passionate about over what they think they should be doing. I guess like what they think will get them the most money, and that's why they're doing it. Because I think that's a very depressing mindset. Because what kind of life will that give you? You might be driving a nice car, you might be living in a nice house, you might have a lovely fucking life, but your day to day is not happy because you are not happy with your work. And we spend more time with people we work with than we spend with our family, and that's a fact. You know, you see your family, you leave your family at about, some people leave their family at about 5 o'clock in the morning. Some people leave their family about 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. But I think by 9 o'clock in the morning, everyone would have left their family to go to work. And 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. About 9 hours. Some people, you know, will work 9 hours. Some people might work 8 hours. Some people might work lower than that, or some people might work longer than that. But whatever it is, you spend basically the entire day Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you might spend Monday all the way, sometimes even Saturday, spending with the people you work with. And if you don't enjoy them, if you don't enjoy what you're actually doing, or if you don't enjoy the people you work with, then what does that do to you? How does that affect you mentally and emotionally? You just might convince yourself that you might love it, but one day it will manifest and it will surface up in one way or the other. And I think, if someone's if someone's passion in life is, I want to travel and take photographs of beautiful birds, go for it. I want to travel the world and show people how magic is done. Yeah, fuck it, go for it. But don't just suddenly do a safe, quote unquote, safe job. A safe job would be um, a teacher. I guess some people might think a safe job would be a teacher or a an accountant. Not to shit on teachers and accountants, but just the two jobs that I know that gets thrown around to be the safe jobs in my community. Um, Doctors, nurses, paramedics, lawyers, all this stuff, all these things that pays big money or has like consistent, work. But why do that if you don't love it? If your passion in life is to help people and you want to be a doctor or work in the medical field, that's fine because that is your passion. But don't do it. You shouldn't pick to be a doctor because you think that will make the most money or your family wants you to do that. Because you're actually hurting the general public because a doctor saves life, and if you aren't dedicated to that job, then you are not a very good doctor, and there might be a possibility that you might lose a life because you are just not in it or whatever it is. So I think you should just do whatever the fuck you want. I mean, these days, you know, you can be a porn star and people wouldn't even say shit about it. I wouldn't anyway. But yeah, what do I know? I'm just sitting in my room talking to the microphone in front of the computer. How long have I been doing this? No, I have no idea. I think I've been doing it for about 30 minutes. It's great. Yeah. But yeah, I think I will start doing this a little bit more often where I just talk because I just find this really soothing and really what's the word? Damn it, I've lost that word. Really calming, really relaxing. Um, it's like if I used to write a lot in my diary, in my book. I have a book the way I write, you know, not every day, but every now and then, maybe once a week or twice a week, where I will write about a certain topic, and and I would just word vomit, just write. When I was younger, I would write about, why I would never find love, or why my or why I was born into um, this particular um, culture. But nowadays, I just write about what makes me happy and what it is I desire. I remember listening to a recording of a famous professor. His name is Alan Watts. Is he a professor or is he a psychologist? Alan Watts, he is a British writer and speaker known for interpreting and popular Buddhism, Taoism, and Hinduism for Western audience. Great. So, I remember him saying, what it is that you desire, because once you find that out, just go for it, and you'll make money somehow. If money is the thing that you actually care about, and I'm butchering what he's saying, but um, I found his words quite um comforting, definitely comforting. And sometimes when I get really um confused, or I get very sad, I would put one of the recordings on, and I would listen to what he has to say, and I think it's just comforting. Yeah. Um, Another person I used to really love, I think I still really like him, but he's like the complete opposite, I guess, of Alan Watts. Well, I guess in a way they're sort of similar, but just very opposite approach. And his name was Bukowski. I think his first name was Charles Bukowski. Let me have a look. Yes, Charles Bukowski, a German American poet, novelist, and short story writer. He, shall we say, doesn't have the most PG content. He's very straight to it. He's very no sugarcoating it. He would just say it as it is. And I genuinely really like that sort of person, because I think I'm that type of person as well. If I see something I don't like in public, I will say it. If I think something is wrong or something is not being handled fairly, I would I would stand up, or I would make a fuss over it. And sometimes people don't like that. I've got in trouble in the past because of this, and sometimes it has worked in my favor. And you just never know. And I remember um, Bukowski, in one of his book. Um, I think I'm paraphrasing here, but I remember it was a story where essentially Bukowski was in his life. He was an alcoholic. He drinks a lot, and he's not always the nicest person, but he was always doing what he wants in life, and he always felt sorry for the people that were just doing something for the money, whereas he thought you need to people in general need to do something they love. It's been so long since I read any of his books. I've basically forgotten what I'm trying to say, but I like him. I like Bukowski. I like Alan Watts. Um, oh, another really good author that I just saw on Google. Paulo Coelho. I don't know how to pronounce his name. He is famous for his book, The Alchemist. I had to read that a couple times to understand the the true meaning behind it. But it his isn't the Alchemist that I was really fond of. It was actually a book called, the title of the book is quite morbid, but the title is called Veronica Decides to Die. And it's a story about it starts off with a girl named Veronica that tries to commit suicide, and then she gets sent to I think it's like a mental institution. And then in that, you learn a lot of things about mental health and sort of the life of this Veronica girl. And there's sort of music elements in it, which I really enjoyed. I thought it was a really good book. Um, so yeah, I think not a lot of people know that I get very sad, at least once a week, at least twice a week. I don't know if I'm sad because I feel alone, or because I'm sad because there are things in life that just makes me sad. Um, and sometimes I'll get to a really dark place. Um, and I sometimes wouldn't know what to do with those emotions. I don't cry. I wouldn't sit in a corner and cry to sleep, or I wouldn't, you know, ugly cry in a shower or something. But I just get very quiet, and I get very gloomy, very blue, very blue. Um, and I think that's when music really speaks to me. And not, I don't nowadays. Now that I'm not a teenager anymore, I don't, put on sad, depressy, depressing songs. You know, but there are songs that speak to me on a emotional level. It puts me at a certain mood. That it's like I guess it's like when someone's sad and they use exercise to sort of lift them up. I do that with music. I also do that with exercise, but I don't always exercise as much as I want to. But music is definitely a one that I am very I take very seriously. Um, I don't think I'm a great musician, but I think I have the ability to appreciate all kinds of music, whether it's pop, whether it's rock, whether it's metal, whether it's rap, whether it's jazz, whether it's classical, whether it's Gregorian chant, whether it's Baroque music, whether it's avant-garde. I try to relate to those music, or I try to appreciate them. And these days, I am um, listening to a lot of lo-fi music. There's a YouTube cat channel called Chilled Cow, and that channel just has all the lo-fi music. It's great. There's no words. There's hardly any climatic points. It's just, I guess, background music. You could say that. And then I really enjoy that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to go say too much about me being sad, but maybe in the future. But not tonight. Tonight I just want to word vomit. What else? Oh, in this podcast in the future, I want to be able to interview my old teachers or my old professors, because I want to speak to them about um just sort of the kind of people they are. Because I think as a kid, I would not always see the bigger picture. Um, I sometimes, when I was a kid, as any kid would do, I don't look at my teachers as humans, I guess. I would just look at them as teachers. Like, if I see my teachers at a supermarket, I would not know what to do, because in my head, I'm thinking, what are you doing here? Shouldn't you be at class teaching? Shouldn't you be at home teaching your instrument? Shouldn't you be, I just, but that's just me being dumb as a kid. Um, but there are certain teachers I would love to speak to them, interview them, the, excuse me, because they changed my life. They had an impact to the way I think and to the way I process information. And I think that's very important. I would love to talk to them about sort of my journey, you know. it could be very funny, you know. It could be very boring. It could be very interesting. I don't know. We'll see. But I love to interview those people, and I would also love to interview um people that I don't know. I would love to interview people who I admire, who I aspire to be. I mean, you know, my biggest dream for this podcast is to be able to sit down with a lot of big podcasters that I love listening to. One of them being Joe Rogan, the second being um, David So from his podcast Genius Brain. I think has such a interesting perspective on life. Um, and who's the other person? The other person, can't think. Oh, I'm blanking. My mind's going on blank right now. But there's a lot of people I would love to talk to. Um, yeah, but there's a lot of things I want to do in life, and I've ever since the lockdown, I decided that I need to at least start doing this podcast, or else it's because it's something that I've always said I wanted to do in my head, but I never actually physically made the first step until I guess being in the lockdown gave me a lot of time to think and made me realize, Jesus Christ, just fucking do it, hey. Like, if this virus goes any worse, everyone could die and we will be fucked. And then thinking of dying from the virus within, because at the beginning of 2020, everyone thought, that the world's going to be heavily affected by this virus, and there was so much, dramatic people, um, including some people I know in my life that just like going over the top, and I guess that had a bit of an effect on me. And in that, I decided I went, okay, I need to do something. At least I need to sit down, I need to interview someone, and then if I don't think I'm good at it, I will just stop. And so far, I've done 4 episodes. I think some people have enjoyed them. Some people found it interesting. So, and then I could finally say to myself, okay, I've made the first step. The next step, it's a lot easier because you've already done the very first step. The rest of it is just practice. The next step is just, make it consistent. And hopefully, it's something that I can do every week because that's my goal. My goal is to be able to put something on once a week, whether it's just me talking to the microphone, or me interviewing someone, or me, record an episode with a friend of mine and we just talk shit, talk about whatever. Could talk about the new movie, could talk about the new game, whatever it is. Something that I definitely wish I can do at least once a week. There might be days where, you know, I might get really, really busy and I might not have time, but I'm gonna force myself to do it. If I need to bank an extra one in one week, that's fine. I will do it. But yeah, it's a promise that I want to make to myself, and it's a promise I hope that I'm not going to break because I've I've already disappointed a lot of people in my life, so I hope that I don't disappoint myself. Um, so yeah, and I think I'm going to stop there. I think it's almost an hour of just me talking shit and word vomit to whoever it is that it's listening. I appreciate it. I hope if you enjoy, I hope you come on this journey with me, this sort of self discovery journey, me getting better at talking, me learning new things from other people. You know, I I hope you really enjoy it. You don't have to come every week, but if there's ever an episode that you intrigues you, please feel free to click it. Please feel free to listen. And yeah, other than that, I think that's it for me. I might actually finally stop procrastinating, go have a shower, and go to bed. It is currently 30th of May 2020 and it is 11:37. All right. Well, thank you for listening to my word vomit. I really appreciate it. And have a lovely day or have a lovely night wherever you are, wherever you're listening to. And I hope you come back in the next episode of the Coffee or Tea podcast. Bye.